The sea was whispering softly outside the old beach house, the kind of place where time didn't seem to move. Elena sat on the porch swing, her wrinkled hands wrapped around a cup of tea. She looked out at the ocean she'd loved for 50 years, the same ocean where her late husband, Michael, had taught her to dance under the moonlight. Her son, Aaron, called that evening. His tone was brisk, distracted. "Mom," he said, "listen, we're going tomorrow. I've sold your beach house." The words sliced through the air. Elena froze. "You what?" "It's for the best," he sighed. "You can't live there alone anymore. The buyer's ready, and the deal's done. I'll pick you up in the morning." She didn't respond, just listened to the waves crashing harder, like they too were protesting. When the call ended, Elena whispered to the empty house, "But what you don't know, Aaron, is why this house can't be sold." That night, Elena wandered through each room, touching the walls as though they were old friends. The faded photographs, the chipped seashell lamp, the creaking floorboards, every inch of the house held a piece of her life. She stopped by the fireplace, where Michael's fishing hat still hung. In the kitchen, she ran her hand along the counter, remembering when Aaron was small, standing on a stool, helping her make pancakes shaped like whales. He'd laugh so hard when they flipped wrong. Elena whispered to the house, "He doesn't remember. He doesn't see what this place is. But maybe he will." She opened a small wooden box on the counter. Inside were sealed letters, one for each year since Michael passed away. One of them had Aaron's name on it. She pressed the letter to her chest. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "he'll know the truth." Aaron arrived early the next morning, his car packed with boxes and a nervous kind of silence. "Mom, please don't make this hard," he said as he loaded her bags. Elena didn't answer, just gazed out toward the sea. He glanced around. "You really haven't changed a thing here, huh?" "No need to," she said quietly. "Some things shouldn't be changed." The drive began with static on the radio and words left unsaid. Aaron scrolled on his phone while Elena looked out the window, the ocean fading behind them. Finally, she spoke. "Aaron, do you remember your 10th birthday here?" He frowned. "Sort of. You mean when Dad took me sailing?" She smiled faintly. "Yes. You nearly tipped the boat, remember?" And he laughed, said the sea liked your courage. Aaron chuckled, then sighed. "Yeah, that was a long time ago, Mom." She turned to him with eyes full of quiet sadness. "Yes," she said, "but some memories never leave the shore." When they arrived in town, Aaron met the realtor at a cafe, a polished woman with a bright smile and sharp heels. "Perfect timing," she said cheerfully. "The buyer's thrilled, wants to start renovations next week. It's going to be a modern rental property, very high-end." Elena's heart sank. "Rental property?" she asked softly. The realtor nodded. "Oh yes, we'll strip the interior completely. Open concept, beach gray tones, minimalism. It'll be stunning." Aaron smiled politely, signing a few final documents. "Mom," he said, "it's a good deal. You'll be comfortable at the retirement home, and I won't have to worry." Elena watched the papers slide across the table, her life reduced to a signature. When the realtor left, Elena said only one thing. "You didn't ask the sea for permission." Aaron frowned. "Mom, it's just a house." She shook her head slowly. "That's where you're wrong." That night, as they packed the last of her belongings, Elena went to her room and took out the wooden box. "Aaron," she said, "before we leave, I want you to have this." He looked skeptical. What's that? Something your father wanted you to see. Inside were letters, photographs, and a small brass key. Aaron picked up the key. What's this for? The lighthouse, she said. The one near the cliffs. Your father left something there for you. He frowned. Mom, that place is falling apart. Maybe, she replied, but some places fall apart to remind us what holds us together. She placed the letter in his hand, the one with his name. Read it when you're ready. Aaron sighed, pocketing it reluctantly. Fine, but after we move you. She smiled faintly, like someone who knew time had one last story to tell. The next morning, a storm rolled in from the sea. Waves crashed against the rocks, wind howling through the shutters. Aaron tried to hurry the movers, but the weather forced them to wait. Elena sat quietly by the window, watching lightning dance over the water. Do you remember the last storm, Aaron? She asked. He shook his head. Your father ran outside with a lantern, she said. He said the light helps lost sailors find their way. Aaron smiled faintly. Dad always said poetic things. She turned toward him. He wasn't talking about the sailors. That night, as thunder echoed, Aaron couldn't sleep. He took out the letter his mother had given him and broke the seal. Inside, written in his father's familiar handwriting, were the words, Son, if you're reading this, it means you've forgotten where the tide begins. Go to the lighthouse. There's something waiting, not for your eyes, but for your heart. Aaron stared at the letter for a long time. Then he grabbed his jacket. The old lighthouse stood at the end of the cliffs, surrounded by the roar of the storm. Aaron climbed the slippery path, rain soaking his clothes. The key trembled in his hand. Inside, the air smelled of salt and rust. He found a locked drawer near the base of the lantern. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a faded photo of his parents dancing on the beach, a seashell pendant, and a note. We built this house for love, not bricks. If you ever lose your way, come home to where the sea listens. Tears blurred Aaron's vision. He sank to the floor, the waves echoing below. He suddenly understood. The house wasn't a burden. It was a memory made solid, a heartbeat in wood and salt. He whispered into the storm, I'm sorry, Dad. I forgot. By morning, the storm had passed. The sea was calm again, as if forgiving. Aaron returned to the beach house, soaked but changed. Elena sat by the window, knitting quietly. You went, didn't you? She asked without looking up. He nodded slowly. I found it. The photo, the note, Dad's words. Elena smiled faintly. Then you understand. Aaron sat beside her, eyes glistening. I think I do now. He looked around the house, really looked, seeing it for the first time in years. The scratches on the doorframe, the sun-faded curtains, the smell of salt and cinnamon. This isn't just your house, Mom, he said softly. It's ours. She touched his hand gently. It always was. The realtor called again that afternoon. Mr. Hales, the buyer wants to finalize tomorrow. Should I confirm? Aaron hesitated. He looked at his mother, the light catching her silver hair, her eyes full of hope. He took a deep breath. No, he said finally. Cancel it. The realtor stammered. Cancel? But the buyer. Tell him the deal's off, Aaron said firmly. The house isn't for sale. When he hung up, Elena's eyes filled with tears. You mean that? She whispered. He nodded. I was selling memories, not a house. I can't do that. She reached out, holding his hand. Your father would be proud. He smiled softly. Maybe. But I think it's you I needed to make proud. That evening, the sun dipped low over the horizon. painting the sky in gold and crimson. Elena and Aaron stood on the porch together, watching the waves roll in. "Mom," he said, "I'm sorry for trying to take this place from you." She smiled. "You didn't take it, Aaron. You just forgot how much it meant." He nodded. "I want to restore it. Maybe even live here part-time. Bring my kids someday." Her eyes sparkled. "Your children will love the sea. It forgives so easily." They stood in silence, letting the sound of the waves speak the rest. And somewhere, in the hush between the tide and the wind, Aaron thought he heard his father's voice, soft and certain. "Welcome home, son." Elena closed her eyes, the ocean reflecting in her smile. For the first time in years, the house felt alive again. Later that night, while Aaron was fixing a loose window shutter, Elena walked into her old bedroom. She bent slowly and lifted a floorboard, one she and Michael had pried open decades ago when hiding love letters from the early days of their marriage. Inside lay a faded envelope, yellowed by salt and time. Her hands trembled as she took it out. "Aaron," she called softly. He came in, wiping dust from his hands. "What's that?" "Something I've kept for 40 years, she whispered. "It's time you knew." She handed him the letter. The handwriting was unmistakable. His father's again. Aaron read silently, his heart tightening. "If the sea ever calls me home before my time, promise me this. Keep this house for her. It's her heart, her soul, and mine too. If you love her, protect it." Aaron's throat closed. "He wrote this before he died." Elena nodded, tears glimmering. "The day before the accident. He never came back from the boat that night." Elena sat on the edge of her bed, her voice trembling. "It was the storm of '83, she said. "The sea was wild that night. Michael went out to rescue a stranded fisherman. He never returned." Aaron swallowed hard. "You never told me that part." "I couldn't," she said softly. "You were only 9. You thought he went on one last trip, and I let you believe that. I wanted you to remember him as brave, not lost." The air was heavy with memory. The distant waves seemed to mourn too. Aaron knelt beside her. "All these years, you carried that alone?" She nodded. "This house is where I waited for him. Every sunset, every storm, I waited. Selling it would have been like saying goodbye all over again." Aaron's eyes filled. "I understand now, Mom. I really do." Outside, the ocean sighed against the shore, a sound like forgiveness. A few days later, Aaron received another call, not from the realtor, but from the buyer himself. "Mr. Hales," the man said, "I heard you canceled the sale. I was going to turn that place into a resort villa, but after seeing it, well, I get it. It's special." Aaron hesitated. "It's not just special. It's sacred." The man laughed lightly. "I'll make you a counteroffer. Double the price. Think about your finances, your mother's care." Aaron cut him off. "You can't buy what was built from love." He hung up. His heart was steady, his decision final. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about money or convenience. He was thinking about legacy. When he told Elena, she simply smiled. "Your father used to say that some treasures grow roots instead of interest." Aaron smiled back. He was right. One morning, Aaron was cleaning the attic when he found an old camera. Inside, it was an undeveloped roll of film. He took it to town and had it processed. The photos came back faded, but full of life. His parents laughing on the beach. Himself as a little boy, running barefoot through the surf. Sand sticking to his cheeks. But one picture caught his breath. It was a photo of his father standing on the porch, holding a sign that read, "For Aaron, when you're ready to come home." He brought it to his mother, tears brimming. "Did you know about this?" She smiled. "He always said you'd need reminding one day. That home isn't a place, it's the people who wait for you." Aaron placed the photo on the mantel. "Then I guess I finally came home." That evening, while restoring the old bookshelf, Aaron found a small blue journal tucked behind the wood panel. It was Elena's handwriting. Dates, memories, recipes, and moments too fragile for speech filled its pages. But toward the end, one entry stood out. "I fear Aaron won't remember how much he was loved here. If he ever returns, I hope he hears the laughter again. Ours, carried in the wind." Aaron read it aloud, voice trembling. Elena listened, silent tears falling. He looked up at her. "You wrote this for me?" She nodded softly. "Mothers write the things they can't say. Someday, you'll do the same for your children." He smiled faintly. "Maybe I already have a few things to write down." A week later, Aaron surprised his mother with something she never expected. When she stepped outside one morning, a crowd of neighbors, old friends, and even local fishermen stood by the porch. "What is all this?" she gasped. Aaron grinned. "A community restoration. We're rebuilding the house, not changing it, just mending what time has worn down. The town missed you, Mom." Everyone cheered. Some brought paint, others tools, others just smiles. Elena's eyes shimmered. "Oh, Michael," she whispered, "you'd love this." Aaron leaned close. "He's here, Mom. In every board, every nail, every laugh." That day, the house echoed again with life. Children running, people sharing stories, and the smell of grilled fish filling the air. For the first time in years, it wasn't just a memory. It was home again. That evening, the sky turned golden orange, waves glowing in the light. Aaron and Elena sat on the porch, their hands intertwined. "You know," Aaron said, "I used to think you were clinging to the past, but now I see. You were holding on to love." She smiled softly. "Love is the only thing strong enough to hold back the tide." He looked at her, her face peaceful, glowing in the sunset. "I'm glad you stayed, Mom." She nodded. "Me too, sweetheart." "Me too." For a long while, they said nothing, just listened to the waves, two generations breathing the same sea air, bound by the same memories. And as the sun disappeared, Elena whispered, "When I go, promise me you'll keep the light on." Aaron nodded, tears falling freely. "Always." The next morning, Aaron found Elena asleep on the porch, her knitting in her lap, a gentle smile on her face. But when he called her name, she didn't wake. The ocean was calm that day, quiet, almost reverent. Aaron sat beside her, holding her hand. There was no fear, no panic, just peace. She looked so serene that he could almost imagine her dreaming of Michael, walking toward him on the shore, the sea stretching endless and bright. Aaron whispered, "You kept the light on, Mom. I'll do the same." He stayed there for hours, the tide rising and falling, the house standing strong against the wind. The sea had taken one more piece of the past, but left behind everything that mattered. Months later, the old beach house had changed, but only slightly. Aaron moved in permanently. He fixed the leaks, repainted the porch, and repaired the lighthouse by the cliffs. At night, he would walk there and light the lantern, just as his father had done decades ago. Locals began calling him the Light Keeper. When storms came, fishermen would see the light and know where home was. Inside the lighthouse, above the lantern, Aaron hung two photographs, one of his parents dancing on the beach, and one of his mother smiling on the porch. Each night before leaving, he'd whisper, "Lights on, Mom, always." And somehow, every night, the sea seemed to whisper back. Years passed. One evening, as Aaron's daughter, little Emily, ran barefoot through the sand, she found something half buried near the porch. It was a sealed envelope. On it, in fading handwriting, were the words, "For Aaron, when he truly understands." He opened it slowly, heart pounding. "My dear boy, I know you'll forgive me one day for not telling you everything. Your father didn't just build this house for me, he built it for you. The deed was always in your name. He wanted to make sure you'd always have a place to return to, even when you lost your way. That's what you didn't know, Aaron. This house was never mine to give up. It's always been yours to protect. Love always, Mom." Aaron's hands shook. Tears blurred his vision. He looked out at the horizon, where the sea kissed the sky, and whispered, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you for keeping me home." That night, the porch light glowed brighter than ever, and somewhere in the distance, the waves whispered a lullaby of love and remembrance.